Good morning, guys. How we doing today? I'm gonna say it right from the start. I'm feeling a kind of way this morning. It's not great. I don't feel terrible, but sometimes I see a tweet or I start getting down like kind of a path, and then it just changes like kind of my outlook for the day. Again, not in a bad way, but it just kind of colors like my thinking for the day. So, Jared, I'll fill you in real quick. I was talking about this morning meme coins and actually it was mostly meme coins and the cabal and these influencers, and it just got me thinking more and more, especially of stories of the past week, but how much of this space is fake, and I'll use the S word, the scam word. How much of it is really that? I think I'm gonna spend a lot of today talking about that stuff, and you'll hear ultimately. I do want to say this up front. I don't think a lot of the people, a lot of the big stuff, I don't think it's that. I also don't think a lot of the stuff I might look at as kind of scammy even realizes they're that. I don't think some of this stuff is intentional, but I think we're full of it. Anyway, that's setting the stage. Jared J Squiggle, it's good to see you, man. How you doing?
Dude, living the dream, man. And just for the record, I kind of am aligned with you. I always about the meme coins. I think you have to know the rules of the game in which you're playing and figure out how to make those rules work to your advantage. I'm not saying don't do it, but one of my common phrases right now is be a student of the game. And I think that understanding which game you're playing, it's probably not popular to say like this is a game, but I think you have to realize like the rules of engagement. How about that? But I'm fully aligned with you. It's part of the reason why I don't. And I've got some whiff and some bonk and a few other like little bags just to be speculative and click refresh on CoinMarketCap to see what's going on. But those are kind of my like asymmetric bets, right? Like it was like I wanted to see if I could outpace my Solana bag. But other than that, I agree with you. And I don't think it's any different for most of Web3, whether it's pre-seed investing in some of the L1s or L2s or even art to some degree. A lot of this stuff gets placed before going public. So it's again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not actually against it at all. I think you just have to understand the rules in which you choose to engage.
Yeah, well put.
But to answer your initial question, I'm doing fantastic, man. I haven't.
Yeah.
It's been a busy morning, so I haven't even opened crypto Twitter to see what sort of fun things are on the horizon for this morning.
Cool. Well, hopefully we can plug you in a little bit. And I know you got to take a break at some point during the show, and I mentioned ahead of time. Whenever you need, drop out, come back, whatever you want to do with that. Let me think. We definitely got some art stuff to talk about. Yeah, want to look at the macro market and stuff, but then I want to get to some of those topics again. Some of the stuff I'm questioning, and I just want to keep saying it, like giving it that context. I'm not calling anything a scam here per se, but because one of the things I want to talk about is Jenkins the valet, not a scam, but again, that conversation is about maybe good intentions, not understanding things well enough, and then ultimately it just, man, it does leave collectors, traders a little rug. So yeah, it's to your point. You gotta know this game. Holy shit, dude. It's so PvP. It's so freaking PvP. I think meme coins just make that more apparent. But you know what? Okay, to rewind, it's Beanie's tweet about this yesterday. Like I was feeling it all week. I think I started feeling it with that Ether Vista token. Jared, I don't know if you saw Ether Vista, but that's one that kind of got me feeling that way, and then seeing tweets like this, which I bet you he's probably talking about that token to a degree. Did you see Ether Vista?
Nah, I did not catch up on any of that.
Okay. All right. So let me think. TLDR there, Ether Vista. Let me see if I can pull it up as I'm talking here. It's a new utility token, I guess we could call it. It's okay, so the token's called Vista. It's for a platform called Ether Vista, which is like it's like a pump dot fund for ETH. It looks super degen, by the way. It doesn't look the same as Pump Fund, like with the like super, I don't know what you describe it, but these just really like a live page, right? Like that page has always got, the tokens being bought or just bouncing all over the page. It doesn't look like that, but it's got this like old like Windows 95, 98 vibe to it, which I like. But ultimately it's for trading meme coins. And I think they're going to do leverage trading over there, and I think they'll do lending. But the token on Labor Day weekend, which it was the market looked like shit. The market looked awful over Labor Day weekend. Oh, dude, by the way, I know you're taking your kids in. I'm not on the speaker, right?
No, you're all good.
Okay. All right. You tell me anytime that were to happen. Like I'll be careful. But like market did not look great. In fact, we'll peek right now. I don't think it's looking great at the moment either. And for a meme coin, after all these meme coins just nuked over the past week, like all of them, all the tokens that I was liking, like Nero and, everything in that world, everything was looking terrible. It felt like over for now. Vista comes out and cooks. So then it comes out, it's a Cabal token, right? It came out that there was a list of those KOLs and then it started making sense who was tweeting it and why it was doing well. So anyway, again, just trying to frame stuff, why I'm thinking and feeling how I am. It's that, and then Beanie tweet. For me, just cements it, and it's a good reminder of that it is a game. Again, I like how you put that. It's play the game. Play the game. It is a game.
And go into it with a plan too, right? Like I've been victim of like you get something that 100x's and you're like, it's going to the moon, and you're like, bro, you're already up 100x, right? Like take a little profit, be happy with what you got. So if you go in with a plan, and like I'm old, I've just played the game a long enough time that I've learned a few things along the way, and not smarter than anybody. But if you do choose to play it, like take profit, have your moon bag, but enjoy the fruits of your labor.
There's a smart way to play it, and I'm a student of this stuff. I always say like I'm not as much as I cover it, like I'm not a technical guy. I'm an enjoyer, and that's mostly it. But the more you can study and pay attention and actually make a game plan, man, it really does work. It really does. I'm gonna get off this page because this sometimes just nukes my browser here. But I do want to look Bitcoin. I don't know, man. Just a weird week. We're just kind of treading water here, but Bitcoin's still under 57K. Looks like we're gonna maybe break that level here today. Actually, Lemon, I'm tempted to pull up TradingView and see where the level's at. I know you don't want me to do that, so somebody tell us what's our next level. What are we looking to break here, if anything? But yeah, Bitcoin just kind of treading water. Same with ETH right now, over 2,400. Solana picking up a little steam here in the past 24 hours at 134. But the biggest news, guys. Incredible news. Cardano back in the top 10 by market cap. Incredible. Charles has been like making the rounds here in the past few days. I've seen video clips of him out there talking. Is there a fork? I think Cardano's about to fork. Something's changing there. I mean, pushing that to be more decentralized maybe is the gist I got, but a little life over there in Cardano. I was going to say you love to see it. I don't think anybody cares. By the way, I love that Cardano's always like, I just like that people rag on Cardano, like are vicious to Cardano.
I feel like Cardano and XRP are like the two most hated coins within the space. It's kind of, it almost makes me want to buy them even more just to be like the contrarian, honestly.
Dude, I always fight that. That's like my nature too. And I especially in this space, I got to fight it because that's like a recipe to get wrecked. Well, yeah, usually. I guess if you send something kind of real there, it can really help you too. That said, Cardano, moving on. That's what you say about Cardano, I guess. Are you a sports guy, Jared?
Yeah, I love sports.
Oh, hell yeah. You excited for tonight?
I am very excited, honestly. It's we're not much of TV people, but the sole reason why we have a subscription is so we could watch basketball and football. So absolutely.
That's cool.
That being said, fun fact, I completely forgot about my first fantasy football draft.
Dude,
and I got I got a text from my buddies like, you go show up. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was putting the kids down. I auto drafted for the first 4 rounds, which is probably the most critical. And I have to say, I'm gunning for last now.
Dude, that's brutal. Yeah, to forget to do, well, okay. I thought it was that you forgot to set your lineup for week 1, but to forget the draft is brutal. Every so often, dude, totally like a luck thing, just like this space. Sometimes you get lucky and it drafts you the most bonkers team. Or, dude, you never know. Some years you got these players that break out and like totally unexpected. So I hope that happens for you this time around, man. But
we'll just say my first 4 picks were all wide receivers, so it's really hard to get a solid team around that.
It's funny how fantasy football even has like trends. Some years like they just the way points are weighted, right? Or how they score these things. Some years it's like you gotta draft wide receivers. Those are the top points, points makers. And other years it's your running back, and usually it's your QB. But dude, I haven't played fantasy in a while, but I was thinking, man, I didn't get in a team or league this year. I kind of wish I did. I kind of did because I'm trying to get back into sports. Random point. I'm going to shoot, dude. I'm going to do this like I do with the aliens and orbs still now. I'm like, dude, I'm the number one Caitlin Clark fan in the world now. Like something clicked, something like switched for me there. And I'm like, I'm turning into I want to be a WNBA fan. I'm always like looking for when their games are on. Like I love her. I'm starting to love WNBA. Anyway, that's got me wanting to get back into sports here kind of. So I missed fantasy football, but Polymarket, that's an awesome new way to start getting back into sports. It gives you a reason to tune into this stuff, making these individual bets, right? So I'm peeking, and Polymarket does have some bets out there for tonight. So pretty cool stuff. So tonight, Chiefs, Ravens. You can outright bet winner of that game. Who's favored here? Chiefs. Chiefs favored to win this guy. And I'll say this too, Jared. I don't know if you poked around on this site. It's cool. You don't just have to pick, win or lose, or you don't have to do that per se. You get to play kind of like the going rate too, because it is a token. And actually, it mints an NFT for you behind the scenes. I'm trying to figure out exactly how that works, but it does mint like 11.55 somewhere in here. But basically, you can just buy and sell the yes bet or the no bet. You know what I mean? And if it starts getting out of whack, you can still sell it. You can sell that yes bet and make money before the game's even over. Like, it's
So
cool.
I love this. Even though it's PvP, you're at least not giving your money to a multi-billion-dollar casino or whatever it is. I love this concept. I think it's amazing. As long as everybody gambles responsibly, and I'm sure there's all kinds of disclaimers around that. But I really, really enjoy this because people who are astute are going to make a ton of money because you're able to, find some sort of asymmetric values. There's a really famous sports gambler who wrote a book about how he made millions and millions of dollars and just looking for those asymmetric bets, which is exactly what we do all day long in Web3, right? Like, why is this token low? Make a play. Why is this NFT low? Make a play. And I think this is this is to me an early sign of where we're heading and the true decentralized nature of everything Web3. This actually is one of the most exciting things of this cycle for me.
Dude, with you. Yeah, Polymarket. We have predict.fun now over on Blast. We have, what is it? Drift Bet or something like that over on Solana. There's going to be like a never-ending number of these platforms popping up. There's one that's getting ready to kick off over on Bitcoin as well. I love them, dude. I think this, talk about product market fit. This is going to tie into our, again, the scammy conversation I want to get to. It's going to tie into that a bit. I think the biggest problem with that stuff, like spoiler, the NFT stuff that hasn't worked and the projects fold, it's more of an issue with there's no product, there's no market for this stuff. There's just not. On the other hand, stuff like Polymarket, clearly there is, like Bloomberg integrating Polymarket, like mainstream news citing this, Polymarket getting advisors like Nate Silver, bonkers, the product market fit here. Like, man, this is just such an obvious thing, and it's a great thing. It's a great freaking product. So I'm with you, dude. The prediction markets are killer for this cycle. As are, I still think Pump Fund. Pump Fund, yes. Fantasy Top. I like all these platforms. I think all of them look like winners, like forever winners too.
Where my brain goes is like the second and third order effects to some of this stuff, right? Like my thing is like being able to track real, like, you hear, oh, per this poll, so-and-so is winning or leading the presidential election. So-and-so, for this poll, this is happening. What I'm really curious is the second and third order effects behind some sort of like predictive nature behind the accuracy of this hive mind. And I'm curious to see how it starts to track relative to quote unquote more mainstream approaches. My operating thesis right now is that it's more accurate and it could be a leading indicator for some things. I just wonder like how people gamify it to their advantage as a result.
Interesting. I'd love you to speak more on all of that as far like deeper into that, but also I definitely hear, well, there's a couple things here. One, if it's like maybe more insightful or more accurate, I don't know if that's kind of where you're going with that. But I saw, especially with like Kamala Harris's DNC speech, right? I think her speech was leaked early, and it gets interesting at that point. You get some for lack of a better word, some fuckery in these markets, right? I think that's what
But
comes next if these get big enough,
it's
right?
real time, man. That's what I'm like. It's not like, oh, let's go have a poll and in 1 week we're going to do it, or like, hey, we're only polling, you know, middle class, you know, Caucasian women to get the results we want, or whatever the, you know, the bias that comes out because they're the ones at home at, you know, 11 a.m. when we make these phone calls. Like you're getting real time data. And again, I think it's like a little microcosm of like not everybody's on Polymarket. It's a lot of degens, things of that nature. But as it grows, and I think it becomes like more widely accepted or visible, I think it becomes a very powerful tool for not just politicians, but just in general, the greater markets to see like trends in advance of like maybe normies. I think there's something to it, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, I'm with you, especially, okay, a perfect example here is I think most polls here, this is kind of switching to the presidential election, but most polls show Kamala Harris well in the lead, up like 3-4% nationwide. Polymarket has Trump up about 7%. He's at 53%. Kamala is at 46%. Look, you might think it's people gamifying this stuff. That could be, but like nobody is going into this wanting to lose money, right? People are going into this wanting to make money. This is really, kind of an obvious thing. Who's betting on Trump to that degree where he's up again? Against the odds,
Well,
against what's.
and I start to look at like biases, right? Like people on X, which is largely a lot of like Web3, have a leaning, right? You can see it in the polls that Elon and others do. So I was like, is that bias coming out in here? And it's so that's where I'm trying again, this theme of being a student of the game, just sitting back trying to observe like, are there clear biases in either direction, and how do you correct for it in a fashion that not only can help you like monetarily, but like I just think from a predictive standpoint, like linguistically, like there's you can have a lot of like predictive linguistics. I know people who are doing it very, very successfully. There's a predictive nature to everything, and maybe this is a leading indicator. Maybe it's a bias, another bias that you have to factor. There's just, because it's so new, a lot of like data and like I said, second and third order effects are starting to kind of like trickle into my head and to analyze it in a way that I'm like, oof, what's the real story here, right? Like what is the real information advantage that can be had?
Yeah, and I think these are so important because there's so much fake stuff out there. I trust nothing. I think it was Mando. I always get Mando and OSF mixed. I can't remember if that's the same person or if it's the two different guys, but like
They're different.
tweeted about different people. Okay. Tweeted about, gosh, what was it? GDP and but his point was the numbers out there are so manipulated, so fake. His read on these numbers, I agree, but also I saw people replying that it's always like this. But the point here is I trust nothing. I actually trust something that goes direct to people here. This is people, again, voting with their money. That does change as people go and try to influence markets, but I'm looking for different sources or different info streams to then make up my own mind. I don't know what to believe anymore, especially, dude, this past week on X, so much fake content. There's the Venezuelan gangs taking over apartments that I still don't know if it's real or not. I think it's not real. I think it's fake. And then the Alexa apps that are, they can't tell you why you should vote for Trump. They're not allowed to, but then they will tell you why you would maybe want to vote for Kamala. I don't know if those are real. I don't think they were, these videos. But like, again, I'm at this point, I don't trust any of the official numbers and narratives that are out. I don't trust the stuff on social media. I trust nothing. I trust that people want to make money. The end. And people are most likely putting themselves in a position to make money. I might trust something like this a little more at this point. It's getting weird out there, man.
It is getting weird. And on that note, I'm going to take my 5-minute break and I will be right back, my man.
Cool. Good stuff. All right. Jared taking his break. When he's back, obviously want to get to the main topic. The other thing, okay, I'm just going to be honest. The other reason I have this scammy stuff in my head is just I'm hyper-focused right now, and I am like really focused on the poly ecosystem. And I don't say that talking about poly stuff as a scam. That's what poly says. That's what the poly community, with the poly community, very much talking about the NFT space is scammy. I agree. So again, I think I'm being influenced a lot by, what I'm looking at out there. But it just has me in that headspace about, man, all of this stuff, all of it. Let me start with Jenkins. Well, again, I do want to kind of save this for when Jared is here. I guess I can touch on, do I want to do it? The Pox token. Any of you guys touching Pox? Have you looked at Pox? Aware of what was going on over there? It's a pretty hot meme coin that yet again, I'm going to save that actually. I'm going to save it. But yet again, another meme coin, very much insider, cabal controlled, the scammier side of the cabal stuff. So that one, a true in your face scam. Gross stuff. Not a fan. DeYank, good morning, sir. Gravity, good morning. Vrew, I saw your DM. Let's do that. I know very little about it. Vrew's got us some whitelists, by the way, guys. Thank you. First off, thank you, dude. I appreciate the hell out of anybody getting us whitelists here. Let's peek at it. Let's look at it. I think we'll run those. I peeked and I don't know anything about them. And let me touch on this too. We can get a little political. This is interesting, Gravity. The DOJ indictments of Tenet Media and its massive Russian-funded disinfo campaigns. It's fucking interesting. I have watched Tim Pool for years. It's really interesting. I'm trying to think through what I think that is. This is probably being biased here. I think it probably very obviously being biased. I initially want to say I agree with Tim. I think he didn't know. This is from following him before he ever had his show, right? This is following him back in the days when he was on Vice. I think he got, but also I don't know, and I want to find out for sure. If anybody's not aware, DOJ indicting Tenet Media, which I don't remember Tim's association. I actually thought that was his company, and it's not. Maybe it is. I'm not exactly sure again, but I guess like $10 million or so from Russia basically into Tenet Media, and Tenet Media is paying all these social media influencers. Again, I'd like to hope and think that Tim, I don't watch the other guys, never have, but that Tim Pool, like he says, is very independent. Nobody influences his content. Obviously, he's very anti what's going on over there in Ukraine. He sounds pro-Russia, but I think it's not the way I would frame it. I think he's just trying to be anti-war. That said, I know I sound like I'm a right-leaning, Putin-supporting bootlicker. Not even that. I know. I think you know where I'm getting with this. I don't know what to think of that, other than I can't wait to find out. My gut tells me I don't think Tim knew what was going on, but if I'm wrong, I'll gladly put it out there that I'm wrong and he's a piece of shit. And all of them, by the way, all of them. So we'll see. Yeah, Lemon, that was more my take again. And by the way, I watch Tim Pool because I try to stay kind of plugged in enough, as mainstream normie as he is. My main sources are probably the Young Turks and Tim Pool. Again, very kind of indie mainstream, normie friendly stuff. I like them. I lean more towards the Young Turks. That's probably my favorite political show. Young Turks, and I like Vosh a lot. I don't agree with Vosh much, but I like his takes. They get me thinking. Tim Pool I rarely agree with, but that said, I've just followed him so long that I watch his stuff. And I don't think he knew, and if he did, piece of shit. It's wild stuff. I don't know what to believe about anything anymore. I think I said last week or so I need to unplug from all that because it's all starting to get me bothered. It might be time to do that. We'll see. That's a story I don't want to ignore, though. It is a big deal. Okay, Vrew, you might need to set this up a little bit. Let me pull up your DM and see what other info we have here. But we got some whitelist spots.
I'm back, by the way.
What's up? That was quick. Okay, well, I'm going to give away Jared some whitelist spots. We got some spots here from our friend Vrew. Let's see. 5 spots? Do we got 5? Okay, I think we got 5. Confirm that for me, sir. But okay, Fractal 8. This is the first Fractal 8 Layer 2 Bitcoin interactive art. I love that. With audio too, I'm curious if this is, let's see, generative. This is interesting. Where holders mine F8. Okay, I don't remember. Is F8 the native token over there? Because I thought it was FB. Yeah, I need more info about this. Regardless, we're gonna do a giveaway for this still, and we'll just do. I wasn't expecting this, so I don't have AlphaBot or anything set up. So we'll do a retweet kind of thing. But yeah, let's do this. First, Fractal Layer 2 Bitcoin interactive art. Holders can mine F8. Again, I think that's the native token, like FSIC and like ASIC are doing over in Fractal. My understanding is this is similar then. But Vru, correct me if I'm wrong on any of that stuff. And let's just peek at their site real quick, see if we get a little sample of the arts. Oh, F8 is their token. Okay, so it's not the native token. It's not FB, which is the native token of Fractal Bitcoin. This is truly F8. So would I be right in thinking this is like going to be an art platform and they got a token for like a broader art ecosystem, or what is F8? Oh man, DeYank, I like Jenk. He's a maniac too. He's an interesting dude. Interesting. All right, you guys are all into Fractal. They won't come on the show, by the way, but whatever. All right, let me just see if I can get a little more info here, guys, and then we'll kick off a giveaway. Again, the giveaway will be like we've done in the past. Retweeting the show, dropping your address. I think that's it. We're obviously following these guys in Crypto Slam. So get yourselves ready for that, guys, by following Fractal 8. So you see it there over on X. It's at Fractal 8. And then you got to follow Crypto Slam. For that one, Crypto Slam IO. Damn, I thought I'd have a chance to get AlphaBot set up, or is that the one? Is that the? I think you had recommended that, Jared. Was that the whitelist platform? I think people were recommending. I think that was it.
Yeah, AlphaBot's it's easy to use.
Yeah. All right. Well, that one I got to get going. Cats, I'm curious. Speaking of AlphaBot, did you see their announcement at the beginning of the week? Something coming. Oh, okay. All right, I'll peek at that. I'm curious. Okay, with that said, sounds like I got kind of right whatever's going on over there. Some kind of art marketplace with their own native token over on Fractal. Love it. I love it. I guess that's it. We have, let's say, 5 spots to give away. Give me a little wiggle room there if I got to adjust it. I think that's what Vru's giving us here. But do your thing, guys. Drop your Taproot address, basically your Ordinals address, right? Drop that in a comment. Retweet today's show from the Crypto Slam account, okay? So it's going to be this here. This one right here. You're going to retweet this tweet. I'll drop it in the chat here. Follow Crypto Slam. Follow Fractal 8. And again, drop that comment in there. That's it. I will draw these whenever Vru needs it back. Vru, if you need it back today, I'll draw it today. You just tell me exactly when you need them. I'll draw them. That's simple. That's simple. And I'll DM you if you guys won. That's what I usually do here. So if you win, I'll DM you. And you'll know you're good to go there. But good luck, guys. Do that retweet. Make sure you drop that wallet address in there. Good luck. Yeah, today. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll draw it after the show. If we get enough replies here, though, if enough people enter, I'll just draw it at the end of the show. So get them in here, guys. And if you can get them in within 30 minutes at this point, we'll draw it at the end. All right. There we go. Good luck. Good luck. Okay. Let me kill those for a minute. We'll circle back to that at the end here. Okay, I guess I'm going to save the scammy chat for the end. Knowing how I do this, dude, and I'm going to get lost in conversation. We might even miss the chat. Whatever. I want to talk art. That's why I got you here. Is to pick your brain about what's going on. And there's been some cool shit this week, dude. It's been a fun week of sales and seeing cool collections come back to the forefront. Looking at Winzy Yawanawa specifically there, man. Holy cow, what a collection. Let's start with Xcopy. Xcopy, another big week. Again, one of my biggest indicators, like I always say it, one of my biggest indicators for kind of the health of the NFT scene. Actually, dude, you saw eggs earlier this week?
Yeah, dude, that was insane. And I was on the show where you guys were talking about it. Not on it. I was listening.
Oh, right.
But
dude, that was always cool.
Honestly, it feels like things are loosening up. I'm just, you're seeing a lot of the top tier investors, collectors. And I say top tier, not to discount anybody's participation, but top tier meaning like, I don't know about you, but I don't have 50 ETH that I can just go throw around against Xcopy editions and stuff. But, I think that when you start to see that loosen up, but the egg stuff was really intriguing to me because it was a wider level of participation, which is exciting.
Yeah. Dude, you gotta be able to label different kinds of traders. It matters. Like we watch for signals. We're watching for when those guys are ready to loosen up their wallet, right? Get a little spendy, because we often don't feel confident enough to do it till we know those guys are there to support this stuff, to support the market. So it's fine calling them what they are, and I think people understand, where they're at in the pecking order. I certainly know where I'm at. Um, but dude, it was great to see. And man, again, the eggs thing felt like a kind of a continuation or the other part of what we've been seeing in X copy. Again, it is collectors ready and willing and money where their mouth is buying these pieces on secondary and for pretty decent prices. Some of this stuff's not cheap. Eggs on secondary we're selling for over zero point 0.3 ETH, which is unfreaking heard of going back a year. It literally wouldn't happen. People would call you insane if you spent that. But we saw it in that what is it? Jira. Let me double check here. It's an ETH collection. Dude, my brain doesn't work. Jirasan. My brain doesn't work like it used to. But Jirasan, zero point 0.6 or so ETH right now. Floor price. Eggs again got over 0.31, maybe 0.32. Something's going on, guys. Again, people are confident enough to mint stuff, and then beyond that, they're confident enough to go buy stuff on secondary. They see value there. So Egg's a big time indicator. Great to see. But X copy.
Well,
More
the
X
the
copy.
thing with X that I wanted to like, in their afternoon show, I was kind of like, again, the text was a little bit delayed, but the thing that I'm really fascinated with this particular edition is it's an edition of five, four of which belong to members of the Doom DAO. So, i.e., you can imply that they're locked up for a long time.
Wait, which piece
And
are we
then
talking?
the one that you have up on screen that sold for 50,
Oh, hang on a
or
second.
oh, no, this is the one for 25.
Yeah, but let's put
Edition
that
of
up because I
25.
want to see that too. That
Yeah,
was Terror. Yep.
the one that sold earlier in the week. And the thing that was really intriguing to me is the fifth is owned by Moderats, which is a longtime X holder. So I would argue that the that piece is now unaccessible, or if it were to ever come to market again, you'll be paying a huge multiple of it. So I'm really interested in the fact of like these additions of like once they become locked up and there's a huge supply constriction, how that has an effect on because like I'll be very candid, like I'd love to have a very limited X edition. It's in my nice to have bag before I you know finally hang up my collecting shoes. But they're becoming rarer and rarer and harder to get.
Oh man, I mean, for most people, it's like a dude. I had the opportunity once. It's never going to happen now. It's probably like that, but it's good we have things like that. It's good to have those things to chase. I hope you get yours, by the way. Like I mean, talk about grails.
Yeah.
There, there really are so few grails. Like considering, dude, there's like over 600 million NFTs, like total supply. It's like an astronomical number. And then to think that even if there's 10,000 grails in this space, probably more than that. But again, and compared to how much supply, there's not a lot. And X copy represents a whole hell of a lot of those grails. So,
Well, I think that like you mentioned Winzy Yawanawa. Winzy Yawanawa is they minted out for $2,500. Again, it's a large amount, but relative to where the floor is now, I mean that's a 7x roughly with ETH being around $2,500, right? So I think that we talk about grails getting locked up, but if you're patient, there's opportunity still out there. I mean, I won't say who, but I know people who like really early in the wins of Yawanawa days locked up a lot of like grails. I mean, even my co-host, I won't go down that path. I don't know if it's public, but like, like you see that Seed Phrase came in and started buying all the flower metadata rarity pieces, for what looked like a huge amount. But, and again, I'm not saying copy trade Seed Phrase by any stretch, but he's the gentleman with the only 7 trait punk. And he paid an absurd amount for that. He paid an absurd amount for a full autoglyph set that people thought he was nuts at the
is this
time.
who you were mentioning, by the way? The person who held some supply? Uh, is it Funds in DAO? Is that the name of the DAO? But I saw this put out there regarding Winzy
No,
Yao
no.
now.
Seed Phrase is just a major collector. Freaking real. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him, and I got to know him on a personal level. Just a very, very intelligent individual who is able to see these second and third order effects before they really come to So it's a fun dynamic to watch him trade.
Dude, that's a skill, and he's got a knack for that. He really does, and that's what did kick off the trading. And I want to come back to this, but I think just before you mentioned seed phrase, I thought you were saying somebody is a big time holder of the Winds of Yawanawa collection and like owned a percentage of that supply.
Yeah,
That's what I was curious. Is that this right here?
I don't know how much I can say in what's public, but again, full disclosure, I'm going to be advising them. But if you use artacle.io, they have like a ownership tab where you can see how many wins of Yawanawa particular wallet, which I always find is a really interesting metric. And then from there, it talks about like diamond handedness. So like how many of those are like not moving or not selling, and it puts a percentage to that for everybody's analysis, which I think is a really, really interesting. It's an interesting piece of data to just kind of wrap your head around. Of like, same thing for Squiggles and a few of these other like Fidenzas, a few other collections. Of like how infrequent does it trade hands?
I'm a dumbass, by the way. As I'm reading the tweet and it says Funds and Dow holds more than 5% of the supply, I'm realizing no, it's literally just a freaking category. Hive Mind owns 40 Winds of Yawanawa. Flamingo Dow has 8. Cyborg, I don't know if that's a Dow or a trader, but also has 8. But man,
Cyborg's a Dow.
Okay, really cool. It's a special collection, dude. Another one of those ones. Actually, like we talked last week about the Monument game and those player tokens. One of those ones I kicked myself for not minting. This is that, but times 50. Like this one got all those spidey senses.
My spidey senses were going off too. I literally I had a low liquidity. It was about 1 ETH at the time, and I was like, I think I'm very disciplined with like how I buy art. And I'm like, I had 1.3 ETH in my wallet. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to be overexposed. I don't know if I want to do this. It was pre-reveal, all that stuff. And I'm just kicking myself. I'm like, dude, Rafiq, $2,500, amazing art. Like, it was a no-brainer, but hindsight's 2020, and we live and learn.
Yep. Oh, damn. I hope that story is going to end with that you actually did it. You went in and grabbed it. Darn, man. But dude, I feel that. I feel that. So, basically, I think right after the mint, my prediction for this was, and I was telling everybody, I'm like, dude, people should be grabbing this. This is financial advice. You should be grabbing this. And I was saying back then, I think this will be easily over 20 ETH in the bull run coming up, like especially with the peak FOMO part of the run, the peak euphoric part, 20 plus ETH. But it's that I put this on in that category of the kind of all-time great collections. It just has something special and something magic about it. It has there's this X factor, and I don't know if you can quantify it, but this has that for whatever reason, and it's a special collection. Even now, this part I'll say NFA because you got to, but even now, if this is at 7-ish ETH or so, I still see a great opportunity there. To me, it feels that special of a collection. I'm picking that out right now.
The end of the month is the claim period for the prints.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing physicals.
Huh. Yeah, so I think that there's a little bit of a, for me, again, just another data point. Not sure if it plays out. Not financial advice. Not saying this is how you trade it, but I wonder if there's this pump up going into the end of the month to get physicals, and then a correction afterwards. That's kind of the way I'm hoping it plays out to get some more exposure. But yeah, it's this is if you had the long-term perspective, this is a really great. It was a no-brainer. Right? Not only is it like a good cause and the story behind it, but the Rafiq in this art style was one of, if not the most popular MoMA exhibits. Like he has this unique bridge. You see a lot of Web3 artists trying to bridge into traditional art. Rafiq has this uncanny ability to have a foot in each side and be respected from both, and that just to me screams longevity.
It's like that magic thing that Beeple has. He has a totally different kind of artist, obviously, but he has that, and that's maybe that X factor there, man. It's that kind of appeals to everybody. Like Nice Aunties has that too. They have something that's kind of, this isn't meant to be disrespectful, but normie friendly at the same time. The people in this space respect the hell out of it too and love it.
But that I don't find that disrespectful. I think that's actually a very astute point that more people need to lean into, right? Like, if you want your assets to go up in value, that quote unquote normie factor has to be there, right? Like we saw it with Bitcoin in the ETF. Like,
True.
it's cool, we can be Bitcoin maxis, but at some point, the greater public, if this is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar asset like gold or any other commodity or currency that you want to make a reference to, like it has to have a greater distribution and onboarding. And I look at somebody like Rafik and in your point, nice aunties, like as stewards of the space that are going to help with the adoption. We can sit here on our spaces and pontificate about Web3 art as much as we want, but the reality is some people have to be receptive to it, and it's until they receive that, it's we're just gonna be trading amongst ourselves. We need a greater, and apologies for the soapbox moment, but we need more art appreciators, and I think that it comes from the traditional art space in addition to Web3 collectors.
Man, couldn't agree more with all that. I probably got to lump Claire Silver into that small list too, I think. Claire Silver feels like she's got some of that mainstream appeal. What do you think?
100%. And I think she's like well intentioned, right? Like she's doing some IRL exhibits to really advocate for her craft and a few other things. To me, this is like a whole big and I learned this from Gary Vee. He like you think you're gonna have this big breakthrough moment. He did some sort of like Apple TV podcast. Was the first, like I forget, like Gwyneth Paltrow and a few other people. He's like a big moment flop, right? And then he has like one random video that goes viral. I think that like I applaud the people who are out there and trying, and with Claire Silver in particular. Not only is it great art, not only is there the narrative that she was early to AI art and a pioneer of that, and part of like the Genesis Braindrops collection, but she's also just out there grinding, like doing really great art consistently. That's one thing that I look for is like consistent deliverables of great art. And like when you can do that over and over again and get the exposure, I just think there's something special about it. So I 100% agree with it. And I think she's doing like a big IRL exhibit that's really going to bring some attention, and I hope it's her moment.
Oh, that's so cool. I've been looking forward to that. I minted her Brain Drops mint. Was that earlier this year? Or was that even before? But it was her last drop. Again, on Brain Drops, really cool collection. Really cool. Really happy.
Yeah, the fashion one. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, dude, really. And I learned more about her from getting to mint that. I didn't realize like she has certain traits that she, she curates maybe her favorite pieces in a collection. And I'm trying to remember the name of that trait. Yeah, it's not going to come to me. But again, just learning more about her process and really cool. Yeah, I'm a Claire Silver fan at this point. I'll drop a little like it's not alpha. It's just my insight. Whatever. It's something I like. It's something I like. When I missed Winds of Yawanawa and realized that's probably just always going to elude me, I was looking for anything Rafik Anadol that I could collect. And I found something, and I still think this collection is a bit under the radar. Full disclosure, I grabbed one, and this is months ago. But I do see a pretty interesting opportunity here. This is called An Important Memory for Humanity. There's a few different series in this collection. And some of them give me, hey, if you like the Rafik pieces because of the motion, right? Because of the fluidity of them and stuff, there's a couple pieces in this collection that are similar, right? This is taking data like Winds of Yawanawa's data from the rainforest, right? It's wind, and there's probably more to it, but the wind especially. This is taking data from shuttle launches, and I thought that was super, super cool. And it gives you, again, a similar kind of, again, it's the motion, it's the movement. If that gets your attention, for me it does, right? I just get lost in this kind of stuff. This collection has that stuff. So maybe peek at that. I've been watching this for, months and months, and people sometimes accept some pretty low offers over here. I'm talking like 0.1, 0.2 in that range. So if you like that stuff and you've been priced out, that's me, then this is stuff you can at least be watching for. This is the piece, this is the edition I grabbed. And I cast this to my TV. I actually got it on a thumb drive, and I just load it up and have it sitting and looping in the background. I love this. But it's a little heads up for people. Okay, X copy, Winds of Yawanawa. There's some other art stuff. Hang on. Chromie Squiggle. We had a Chromie Squiggle update this week, and actually, it's exactly something you've been predicting or saying that was coming up. Like, what's next what's next on the roadmap for Chromie Squiggles? And you said placement museums, and we saw that. We saw that just
And
this
lo and
past
behold,
week.
guess what happened?
Right? Yeah. Something like this is in the works. I'm assuming for some time before.
Yeah, there's a long runway for this sort of stuff, especially to get into permanent collections.
Interesting. Oh man, that world is so foreign, but I love hearing about it, right? And learning how it works. Again, like no idea. Well, like, what is the runway for that like? And why is there such a runway, especially with NFTs that are supposed to be, kind of so instant?
I think it comes down like when you're talking about permanent collections mostly, right? Like the the acceptance of something into a permanent collection is largely dependent on like the there's boards on different art institutions that move at different paces. So it's just it's really dependent on the institution. So it just to be accepted into a permanent piece within the collection, like it's a big decision, right? Because you're even though settlement and transfer is instantaneous with Web3 art, like being able to say like, especially because like this one was really cool because it's going to be on display. So for me, it's like that, like for to have like a piece on permanent or not permanent, but like on display at a museum, it takes a lot of people to sign off on it and agree with it. So there's a lot of good people, and this is part of like what I'm glad this came up because it's about this um, full moment, right? Where like Rafiq was traditional artist, plays in Web3, digitally native. Like the correlation there is more obvious. But Snowfro is somebody who's come up on the in the digital world almost exclusively. So like this is like a really big moment to be able to like break into, in my opinion, it's a big moment to be able to break into like as but consistently announcing like the breaking into these institutions. And I mean breaking into it in a very complimentary way. Like this is and again, I go back to it as like in the moment I didn't realize it, but I was, like about 8 to 10 years old when I saw my first Jackson Pollock, and it stuck with me. Like I loved it, right? Like I don't know why, but like Jackson Pollock just spoke to me, and it just I again, it's not like in that moment I was like, I'm gonna be an art fund manager or art collector, and I curiosity, and here I am, 30 years later, you know, doing what I'm doing. And I think that to be able to have these pieces on display for every level of generation uh, is impressive, right? So that piece of art and the LACMA and that iconic are going to be on the wall. When they do special events, people are going to see it and they're going to be like, why is this squiggly rainbow important, right? And they have the ability to fund it. I mean, and then there's going to be young kids who walk through and, it's going to inspire them for years and years out from now. So I love the fact that these are going to be on display. And again, you go to the second, third, fourth order effects. Like, it doesn't mean that like because it's in a museum that all of a sudden the Chromie Squiggle floor goes up 3x. But what it does mean is that it's going to get exposure in an unquantifiable manner that is really hard to scale and predict. Like I almost want to open a poly market
Ooh.
to track this sort of thing. But and that's kind of where I'm going with it is like there's a team of believers behind Chromie Squiggles, just like there's a team of believers behind Rafik that are really helping advance this, and that's important at the end of the day. And when you have that sort of community, you're going beyond 1,000 true fans and making this a real viable community.
I like that idea of the predictions markets with bets around again these things. Actually, like random side note, but I'm looking forward to these bets on like floor prices and stuff, which obviously opens you up to all kinds of manipulation or whatever, just fudgery. But I think that'd be fun. But I like the idea of betting on Whether it's floor prices or type of number of people holding these, or it's museums displaying it, on their permanent displays, or public displays. I love that. I like gamifying things. So I don't know. That just caught me. I think that'd be a lot
Well,
of
and I
fun.
think, and then that again, going to these like first, second, third order effects, I think that that's where it's going, right? And does this sort of prediction market become a self-fulfilling prophecy? That's kind of like where I'm going with a lot of this is starting to think of like, how do you, you know, I talk about like the linguistics models and predictive nature of things, like getting access to like Twitter AP or X API is like really, really expensive, like 5 grand a month. So this sort of like predictive nature of things is really only for the affluent or the deep pockets, but with something with Polymarket, it's going to potentially democratize a lot of this stuff, and for those who are student enough, be able to track it in a what I feel like could be a very interesting fashion.
Yes, sir. Maybe can you tell us more about this Squiggle DAO? They've been gifted another Chromie Squiggle. Squiggle DAO. I always got to be reminded of kind of, I guess, how they operate. Why they're just collecting these Chromie Squiggles. What's the long term plans with these Squiggles? It's got to be at some point to,
No, locked
sell them.
up.
But
So the way the Squiggle DAO was created is it was they were donated. So all of these were like donated to the Squiggle DAO for the DAO cause. You were given like something called a Squig token, which was later converted into the NFT. So there's like 1,000 or 10,000. I think 1,000 Squiggle DAO passes, which is actually really, I think, an undervalued asset. And again, while I do podcasts for Squiggle DAO, I am not a Squiggle DAO team member. I don't get paid by them. But there's a really interesting proposition where you're able to like have a Squiggle DAO token, which actually gives you a fractional ownership of um, their assets. And their assets, like not only are they like acquiring more assets, but they're also like so the fuzzy that you just the fuzzy squiggle, fuzzy is the type of squiggle. You notice that if it's a little bit like it almost looks like a cloud rather than your traditional I call it it's like the furries of the squiggle collection.
I love it. By the way, it's beautiful. I
But
love this one.
I know I own a bunch of the fuzzies. It was the first one I ever bought. I just love them. But that was so really interesting. I came under a lot of flack yesterday in the Squiggle Dot Discord.
Hmm.
The person who donated this was actually a very infamous wallet. It's somebody who minted about 1,000 pieces, and they donated this to the Squiggle DAO and then it's going to be used as part of their permanent collection and awareness and some other stuff. But really interesting that so their goal is to be one of, if not the top holders of Chromie Squiggles, and it's going to reside within the collection for an extended duration. There's put it another way, there's no plans ever at this point in time to sell any of the Squiggles. So it's really to just be an advocate and a champion of it. And so if you know which wallet's theirs and you can easily find it because this is a public number, you can go track it. And they're open about it. They have 300 and something Squiggles. You got to remember, like these Squiggles are essentially going to be locked up and never come to market again, which I find to be a very, very interesting supply constriction dynamic.
Dude, it certainly drives a lot of value to the Squiggle DAO. It really does. I think that's super spicy. What do those go for? Do you off the top of your head? Do you know?
A fuzzy?
Not the fuzzy, but the whatever the Squiggle DAO membership.
Oh, dude, you can like wheat them for like 0.25 ETH, which is
Oh,
so
damn.
you can kind of see it over there on the lower right of the screen that you're looking at. That's the Squiggle DAO token, so you
Oh
can
shit.
click into there and
Oh, that's cool looking. I like that. Who do you know who did the art?
I did at one point. I don't anymore. It was done a couple years ago, but
I like it.
yeah, it's really cool once you like dig into it. So I mean, what's the floor there?
0.35, which is
0.35.
pretty awesome. I want to check into that. I think that's super cool.
Yeah,
Huh.
so I think that and again, it's just the Squiggle DAO's out there like grinding, doing like good work for Squiggles, and they're done. I'm attracted to people who are like doing good work rather than shilling a bunch of stuff. So they're not out there shilling their NFT but I think there's a really interesting asymmetric value play there if, and a big if you have a long-term perspective.
Yeah.
And you
Oh
understand
man.
that there's almost no liquidity there, right? Like that's a
Dude, yeah. Well, I
It's an
sure as hell
interesting
do
dynamic,
though.
right?
Squiggle is damn near the top of the list for things I must have. Shout out to freaking Nifty Q over there on the Say What account, man. Dude is crushing it out in that Say ecosystem. I feel like he's found that thing. You know, it's always trying and experimenting with content, and many times over, uh, Q and Biggie and GIF and just the gang has put out excellent shit. But they got some kind of magic thing going on with Say What. So man, if you guys are not aware, haven't heard, check that out. That's the Spaces that goes live in just a couple minutes here. But great, like excellent. If you're in the Say ecosystem, I think you know about them already. If you're not, you've been curious, that's the place you want to go to check it out. Like really, really top tier stuff.
And just good people. I mean, they're just good people. I love every single one of them. They're just good people. So when you're able to surround yourself with good people like that, like great things happen.
Exactly. Like just the magic, it's there. Okay, well, like I predicted, there's just a couple minutes left. I don't think we'll get to the meaty conversation that is the scammy whatever stuff. Maybe we can lightly touch on it. But this is also to show you guys, this is random. This is totally random, but to show you what you're up against out there. Like, right, we said it's PvP out there. We know that there's these big old whales, these big old institutions you're trading against, but it's like this stuff. Like it can be really hard to win out there when you see people have got their bots, these Mev bots, which I would love to do a whole show on those. I wouldn't be able to explain it now, but I've done my deep dives and understood them. And man, you are playing a hard game. Anyway, a Mev bot took out a $12 million flash loan just to make $20. Just to make $20 off some poor soul, which the person I don't think even realized it too. But that's the kind of game some other people are playing out there, just grinding and grinding for $20. Actually, for them, it's easy. That's why they do it, right? It's not even a grind for them. It's like an automatic play. So interesting stuff. Again, that's who we're trading against. It's hard to win. I don't know. That's not really true. Okay, what can we get on that won't take us? Fuck, dude. Maybe I'll just put this out and we'll just keep it surface level. But Jenkins, the valet, this was a big story earlier in the week, but they're done. They're done with the native Web3 IP kind of stuff, as in, they would take people's Bored Apes, and I don't remember if they integrated other Web3 IP, but try to place them in products, mainstream kind of media stuff. I don't know, animations and anything like that. And man, it just never worked. It just never worked. And this is where I wrestle with this whole thing. What happened 2-3 years ago that these guys, I'm not trying to single out Blake here, but like anybody that launched back then, sold us this vision, this thing, and didn't execute. And maybe that's the wrong way to say it too. I'm trying to be careful because I'm trying to be careful because I do think a lot of these guys had the right intentions. But that said, a lot of big promises were made back in the day, and almost none of them materialized. What do you read of this? I'm not sure if you're aware of the Jenkins story and ultimately what happened, but why did nothing ever happen anywhere?
I don't want I'm aware of it. I don't want to project on a bunch of stuff. Being a builder myself, like there's a lot of just left turns that can come your way and curveballs. I just think that, and I don't know that I don't even want to project on it because I don't know the team well enough to be able to say like just poor execution, bad intent, or even like unfortunate circumstances. I just think that the short answer is it's Web3. You don't know, but again, I think you have to assume a lot of stuff goes to zero, and at the end of the day, like you place your bets on people and projects that you believe in, and just know that not everything's going to be a success, unfortunately.
Yeah. I
wish I had a rosier story or something, like some analytics on it. I think that like it's just to me it's a good reminder of like things happen, right? And sometimes we just don't know.
I think that's it. Yeah. Again, that's why I feel funny. Not funny. It's not the best example because I do think this is probably one of the few guys who did have good intentions, but kind of like me as a trader, I drank the Kool-Aid early on, and I thought this would be world changing, which I still do think that. But I thought as soon as this tech really started catching, it was going to be like almost this instant transformation everywhere. My perspective wasn't right. You know what I mean? Like I thought this would turn out one way. It did not. And I think that's what happened to a lot of builders here. From
But
everything
there's a
that
thing. There's a thing of being too early too, right?
that's
Like I
true.
think that there's. I did this too, where like early on, like when I found Bitcoin, I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. It's gonna change the world, and once everybody sees it, they're gonna, because it clicked for me early. But then all of a sudden you realize that like, oh no, right? Like 10 years in, we're still fucking floating along, man. Like, and we
That's
still
such
haven't
a good
hit
point,
critical
dude.
mass, right?
That's such a good point. Like I've been wrestling, like and more wrestling like a year ago, maybe 2 years. But at certain points when we hit these little like really slow patches, and I wrestled, I'm like, did we get it wrong? Like, were we wrong? Is can this not really do the things we were told it can do? Kind of like royalties, right? On chain royalties. Um, like, can it just not do that? Was this snake oil? But I think that's a better way to put it. Like you said, I think it might actually be that we were just too early, like legitimately, that everything we thought would happen still is on the horizon. It's just so appealing that so many of us came in at once and our expectations were a little too soon. We wanted it a little too fast, but simply put, we're just too early. I'm really glad you said that, man.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, this is where it comes down to patience and having a plan, right? And playing with funds that you don't necessarily need to pay the mortgage. And I say that again, not to be like the grandpa of the group, but just because like, I was talking to a couple artists and stuff, and I equated, NFT art, to bring it back to art, the equivalent of like where we're at with Bitcoin in 2013, right? Like, yeah, you have a couple whales playing around, you have a couple, like the Max Kaisers of the world, like, they're like we're early and they're hoarding it, but like at the end of the day, like it's not just one person who's going to do it. It's this collective, that's going to advance the space. And for me, coming back to some of the conversations we had, that's why seeing a Chromie squiggle in a museum is important. That's why Rafik Anadol hanging out with Leonardo DiCaprio and presenting stuff at the UN or even Davos. Like that's why it all matters. Is because eventually somebody goes, "Why do I keep seeing Rafik?" Or "Why is this digital art like? What is this thing?" Right? And then it's that proverbial butterfly effect, and we just you know, it, and I look at it this way: is like everybody looks at it as like when my bags, but the reality is like if you want some billionaire to come buy your bags, like they're focused on building their next $1 billion, not like buying your art. But eventually they're gonna go, why do I keep seeing this shit, right? And and I just think that that timeline takes a lot longer. I think Cosmo or 659 had a good like post about this. I should have forwarded it to you, but it was like boom bust, boom bust, boom bust, boom bust, boom bust ETF, right? Like, and it was like, and I think that like that's when we look at art specifically, like we've had one boom, one bust, like in that cycle of things, like we're still early, and I think it's like it's a no-brainer adoption of digital, technology, just like ticketing on an L2 is a no-brainer. We talk about Polymarkets as technically an NFT behind the scenes. Um, I think that like we're getting there, but it's just a matter of um, us being the eternal optimists and the technologists that we are. We think it's going to happen next year, and the reality is, mass adoption for the internet took 15 years before you went from the like the AOL. Most people listening
Right.
won't even remember this. Like you had to put a fucking CD in there. You're limited on the amount of hours you could actually access it before paying. And now it's like we have a super, what would have been a 1990s supercomputer in our pocket, right? So, anyways, it just takes time, man.
I love it. Again, that's the perfect perspective to leave with here um, today, dude. Have you ever? This is random as hell. Have you ever talked to, interviewed, whatever, Punk 6529?
No, I have avenues into 6529, but they do very limited public engagements. And for the last year, if you've noticed, they haven't been really doing any public engagements. So, unfortunately, the timing with Squiggle Down and a few other things, we have connections over there, but just nothing public at this moment.
Yeah, they're an interesting character. If I had a list of who like a dream list of people to come on and chat with, for whatever reason, that's one got me. That's probably number one. I
Well,
don't know why. I
the
just like the takes. I think he's smart. He's
well,
got the vision.
smart, and I mean, like again, if you want to like go down a rabbit hole, look at 6529 Fund. at 6529 Museum on OpenSea. Freaking
Incredible,
incredible,
dude.
incredible collections. Obviously about the goose, like, but the thing that's more intriguing is that it's one thing to be smart and it's one thing to be early. I've had the fortune of meeting a lot of those people in Web3, but the team, I mean, the fucking team between him and Cosimo that they've built is just off the charts,
I
top
didn't realize
tier.
they work together.
Oh no, no, they don't work together, but just
Okay.
those two in particular are two that have built these teams around them that are just like mind-blowingly like the more I get to know like team members, I'm just like, how did we get here? Like, how did you, of all people, not only find these individuals, but find them early and find, like, I mean, we're using this example. Maybe they were a bad egg. Maybe they just weren't able to execute. Like, we don't know the full story, but somebody like 6529 not only has done a great team, but just freaking delivered every single product. And it's just, whether it's open metaverse, the 6529 means, I look at it and I'm like, man, or even their collection, the fund, like, just stellar content, man.
Yeah, dude. Real talk. All right. Anything going on in the 8-nap universe? We can close up shop with this.
Yes, we're in September, so this month we're going to launch a free open edition for past members for Jake and Ez, and then do it's gonna be a series of three. I'm calling it his red series. So we selected a series of three photographs. Really attractive price point. So towards the end of the month, be on the lookout for that. You have it up on screen. There is a individual auction piece. This one probably has like only 3 hours left on it. So go to 8nap.art. There are like individual piece auctions. So if you have any inclination to look at some of Delta's work, he's the auction that's going on right now. The pieces will rotate out, so it's a little bit of I hope to be a stop off for a couple people, all along the way. And if you find it, there's some really bomb pieces that have yet to mint, so be on the lookout for those. And just really stop by, engage, follow. There's a we're not producing a drop every single week, but we are producing really great art content and finding ways to advocate for those artists and find opportunity for them. So I'm really excited, man. This is like I think we've finally hit, call it critical mass, and we're in the process of doing some stuff. I will say it's a little ways out. It's in November, but I'll be in Marfa and we'll be doing some fun 8-nap art activations and just like events. So if you guys are in Marfa, hit me up. I will be doing a private dinner with some artists, which will be like really fun with fun giveaways. I don't know if it's public yet, but damn it, I just like giving you some alpha.
I love it.
Uh, if you are there, Delta Sauce is going to be doing a series of editions that are in honor of Marfa. Some of which will have like a exclusive connection to 8nap and then a couple other partnerships. So really interested and intrigued to see how that rolls out. But again, so they'll all be free, right? Like, so it's gonna be, if you're in Marfa, engage, and we'll get you some. The intent here is to get the art into the hands of people who are going to just cherish it. Will you be able to flip it for a couple shekels? Probably, if that's your stick. But there's gonna be a series of 5 pieces. Like Pokemon, collect them all. It'll be fun, man. Like we're really working with these artists to help them elevate their careers and just like X, man. People are like, oh, X is selling for all this shit. Dude, some of the stuff he's selling for like 50 ETH right now sold for $100, $200, right? It's about slow and steady,
Hmm.
taking that long-term perspective to bring it full circle for what we're like. We're early. So let's set the foundation to be early. My question is, who's gonna be the next X? Who's gonna be the next Snowfro? Right? My belief is that somebody's out there. So
Yeah, I love it.
anyways,
That
always
that
appreciate the
that's
plug, man.
Oh, dude, of course. I love what you're doing over there. We'll always support you too, man. It's awesome stuff. So, but that's the perfect takeaway of the day. I'm so glad you said it. It just comes up organically, but we're early, guys. It was man, we said it years ago, and at some point, it kind of, like many terms here, becomes a meme. But it is true. I believe it now. So, thank you for sharing your wisdom here today, man. Thank you for hanging with me too, guys. Make sure you're following Jared on X. It's Jared_Poz POZ. Um, Follow us here at Crypto Slam at CryptoSlam.io. I'm going to keep the giveaway open here for another hour. We got enough people that entered that all those are going to be given away, but I want to make sure everybody gets that chance. So if you joined late, guys, we're doing a giveaway for Fractal 8. It is an art platform with a token coming called F8. And I believe this mint is going to get you, I don't know, actually, a mint pass or something. Not a mint pass. You get some kind of platform token, maybe leading to that F8 token. So anyway, follow Fractal 8. Follow CryptoSlam and retweet today's show on the CryptoSlam account. Drop your wallet address. If you follow those steps, you're entered. I'm drawing in about an hour here. Good luck to you guys. Guys, enjoy your day. I'll see you at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time right here on SlamX with Joe, with Henry. Guys, have a great one. We'll see you.